The sky over the exiled world was a harsh canvas of dark clouds and swirling storms, a constant reminder of the cruelty that had been handed down to humanity. Once, humans had been explorers, settlers, and innovators, traveling boldly among the stars, claiming new worlds, and spreading their curiosity across the galaxy. But that era was long gone. The Galactic Council, a union of the most powerful alien civilizations, had declared humanity reckless and dangerous. Their pride and ambition, qualities that once propelled them to greatness, were now seen as a threat. In a single, decisive decree, humanity was cast out, stripped of colonies, banned from interstellar trade, and left to fend for itself on a remote, barren planet at the galaxy's edge. This world was nothing like the Earth humans had known. Its surface was jagged and rocky, with jagged cliffs that tore at the skies, and violent storms that could obliterate unprotected settlements in hours. The atmosphere was thin, filled with sharp gusts of wind that could cut through the toughest armor. Food and water were scarce, and alien predators stalked the wilds with terrifying intelligence. Many wondered how a species that had once commanded fleets and shaped worlds could survive here at all. And yet, survive they did. Humans built underground cities, burrowing into the unforgiving soil to escape the storms. They created shelters powered by makeshift energy systems, often scavenged from wreckage of abandoned council ships, or improvised from the minerals of the planet itself. Technology, once taken for granted, had become a matter of survival. Engineers worked tirelessly, creating air purifiers, water extractors, and defense mechanisms against the relentless wildlife. Communities formed not through privilege or hierarchy but through merit. Those who could contribute meaningfully led, and those who could not learned to support the collective in other ways. Among the exiles, Captain Alara Voss became a symbol of hope. She had been a pilot in the human interstellar fleet before the banishment, known for her sharp mind and fearless tactics. She refused to accept humanity's condemnation. Every morning, she walked through the bustling underground city of Haven, checking on teams of engineers, miners, and scouts. Her presence reminded everyone that humans were not meant to be forgotten. "We are still alive," she would say, her voice carrying over the clatter of machinery. And alive means we still have power. We still have a chance. We still have hope. Alara understood that survival alone would not be enough. Humans could not simply endure, they had to adapt, innovate, and grow stronger than ever before. And so, she encouraged the people to push boundaries. Children were taught not just reading and mathematics, but problem-solving and engineering. Adults shared stories of old human achievements to inspire courage. Scouts ventured into dangerous territories, mapping the world and learning the behavior of local predators. Every setback was a lesson. Every failure was a step forward. Despite the harshness of their surroundings, humans began to thrive. Their ingenuity transformed the planet. What had once been a hostile wasteland slowly became manageable. The first human farms, carefully shielded from storms, produced crops designed to survive the thin air and rocky soil. Water purification systems allowed communities to flourish near underground rivers. Even the alien predators, once feared, were studied and sometimes tamed, becoming a symbol of humanity's resilience. But survival was not the only goal. Alara believed humans had a greater destiny. In secret, engineers and scientists began to reconstruct old starships, reverse engineering technology from the fragments of council vessels that had been left behind. It was dangerous work. The ships were old, systems incomplete, and the planet's resources limited. But humans had learned to turn limitations into opportunities. They combined the scraps of alien technology with their own innovations, creating hybrid systems no council engineer could have imagined. Training programs were established for pilots, scientists, and strategists. Humans learned faster, adapted better, and experimented boldly. The council had judged them for being reckless, but in exile, recklessness became creativity. Creativity became progress, and progress became power. Young pilots practiced maneuvers in dangerous storm zones, learning instinctively how to read the sky, the wind, and even the electrical fields of the planet. Scientists explored the local flora and fauna, discovering new compounds, materials, and energy sources that could not be found anywhere else. Among these efforts, the human mind's unique strength became clear. While alien species relied on rigid protocols, humans adapted, improvised, and evolved with every challenge. Where a council race might have retreated from a deadly storm or predator, humans studied it, learned its patterns, and found ways to use it to their advantage. Their greatest power lay not in strength, nor in technology alone, but in creativity, cooperation, and indomitable spirit. Even so, life on the exile world was not without loss. Many perished in storms or at the claws of massive, alien beasts. Children were sometimes orphaned, and entire communities were forced to relocate after natural disasters. Yet, each tragedy strengthened the bonds between humans. In these moments of sorrow, courage emerged. Humans learned to care for one another in ways that surpassed any alien protocol. Survival was shared, and so was hope. Years passed, and the small communities of humanity began to communicate and coordinate more effectively. Hidden from the council, they established a network of sensors and communication relays across the planet, allowing real-time information sharing. Trade between underground cities flourished. Engineers in one city would send designs to another, and those designs would be improved, refined, and returned. In this way, humans rebuilt a miniature society on their exile world, one that was robust, flexible, and ready for the future. Elara often stood on the cliffs overlooking the storm-racked plains, watching the wind tear at the horizon. The council may have tried to erase humanity, but humans had adapted. They had transformed exile into opportunity. And Elara had a plan. One day, she would take humanity back into the galaxy, not as beggars or supplicants, but as equals, perhaps even as leaders. But first, they needed time, and the harsh world of exile was the perfect crucible. The turning point came when human scouts discovered a hidden cave system beneath the northern cliffs, a place untouched by storms or predators. Inside, they found mineral deposits and remnants of ancient alien technology buried for centuries. Scientists were ecstatic. The minerals were perfect for energy storage, and the old devices contained knowledge about advanced propulsion and energy management. It was as if the universe itself had offered humans a gift, a tool to aid their resurrection. Elara wasted no time. Teams were dispatched to explore, analyze, and incorporate these discoveries into human technology. The humans' first prototype starship was constructed in a hidden facility, a vessel small but faster and more agile than anything the Council could have expected. Its creation was more than engineering, it was a statement. Humanity was no longer the species that could be dismissed, no longer the one banished and forgotten. News of their successes spread quietly among humans on the planet. Stories of the first human-made starship, of ingenious defense mechanisms, and of communities thriving in the harshest conditions became legend. Children dreamed not just of surviving but of flying among the stars once more. Adults worked tirelessly, driven by the possibility of reclaiming the place in the galaxy they had lost. Elara knew that this was just the beginning. Exile had taught humans patience, resilience, and innovation. Every storm weathered, every predator studied, every system rebuilt had honed their skills. They were no longer just survivors, they were students of the universe, ready to rise stronger than ever. The Council had judged humanity too harshly, but humans were about to prove that the judgment had been wrong. As the sun, or what passed for it on this distant world, set over the jagged horizon, Elara looked out over the bustling cities underground, over the farms growing under protective domes, and over the workshops where human ingenuity worked tirelessly. She allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had fallen, yes, but from the ashes of that fall, something greater was emerging. The galaxy would soon see the truth. Humans were no longer banished and forgotten. They were learning, growing, and preparing to reclaim their destiny. And when the day came, the universe would witness the strength, courage, and indomitable spirit of a species that refused to surrender, even when faced with the harshest exile. Elara turned back toward the city, her mind already moving forward. Tomorrow, new experiments would begin. New scouts would venture into the unknown, and new technologies would be tested. Every action, every decision, every human heartbeat was a step toward the future they deserved. The future in which humanity would rise again not merely to survive, but to lead. And as the storm raged on above, shaking the cliffs and bending the winds, the humans below moved with purpose, undeterred, unstoppable, and unbroken. The story of exile was ending, and the story of humanity's emergence was beginning. Years passed on the exile world, and humanity grew stronger with every day. What had once been a planet of harsh storms, scarce resources, and deadly predators had become a proving ground for human ingenuity. Underground cities hummed with activity. Laboratories, workshops, and training facilities worked in harmony, each contributing to a single vision. Humans would not remain forgotten. They would rise again, not as beggars seeking mercy, but as equals among the stars. Elara Voss oversaw much of this transformation. Her leadership was no longer limited to one city. She coordinated efforts across the planet. Teams of engineers experimented with new energy systems, creating power sources that could survive the planet's volatile environment. Scientists studied alien flora and fauna, extracting compounds that could be used for medicine, fuel, and advanced materials. Children trained in tactical games that honed their thinking, strategy, and teamwork, preparing a generation ready to handle challenges no alien species had ever faced. But humans did not remain confined to their exile world. The old starship prototypes had proven that they could survive interstellar travel. With careful planning, humanity began to explore the regions around their planet, venturing into space that had once been forbidden. Scouts mapped asteroid belts, studied neighboring planets, and gathered intelligence on distant alien systems. Every mission was dangerous. Radiation storms, rogue comets, and alien drones patrolled forbidden space. Many scouts did not return, but every failure taught humans how to do better the next time. The key to humanity's success was adaptability. Alien species were bound by rigid protocols and formal hierarchies, making them predictable but limited. Humans, by contrast, learned quickly from mistakes, experimented boldly, and found solutions in ways no protocol could predict. This ability became their greatest advantage. One scout ship, trapped in a dense asteroid field, managed to escape not through brute force, but through a combination of unconventional maneuvers and clever use of gravity fields. Word of such feats spread quickly among human crews, building confidence and inspiring new generations to innovate fearlessly. Ilara understood that survival and exploration were not enough. Humans had to reclaim knowledge lost to the galaxy and learn to wield it wisely. Teams of scientists and engineers began combing the outskirts of the galaxy, discovering ancient alien ruins, abandoned laboratories, and lost libraries of star charts and schematics. Every relic contained information about technologies humans had never imagined. Energy shields, advanced propulsion systems, weapon designs, and even AI systems that could assist human creativity rather than replace it. The challenge was immense. Many artifacts were damaged, incomprehensible, or booby-trapped. Yet humans approached these discoveries not with fear, but with determination. They studied, experimented, and sometimes dismantled the technology, learning from every failure. When a council-built drone attacked a team exploring an abandoned station, the humans captured it, analyzed its design, and improved upon it, creating a new defense system for their cities. Where aliens saw a problem, humans saw opportunity. Trade and diplomacy also became tools for humanity's rise. Though exiled, they realized that the galaxy was vast, and not all alien species were hostile. Scouts encountered minor civilizations that had long suffered under council rule. Humans offered technology, protection, and knowledge in exchange for resources and alliances. Slowly, humans built networks of support, creating bonds that were based not on fear or coercion, but on respect and mutual benefit. These alliances were subtle and careful. Humans knew they were still considered dangerous by the council, and open confrontation could be disastrous. the most significant progress came in the development of the human armada. Initially small, the fleet was designed for speed, maneuverability, and intelligence rather than sheer firepower. Every ship was piloted by humans trained to think creatively, supported by advanced AI that could simulate thousands of strategies in moments. Humans experimented with formations, ambush tactics, and adaptive systems that responded to threats in real time. What the Council had dismissed as recklessness became precision under pressure. One of the most ambitious projects was the creation of a flagship, the Resolute, a vessel designed to demonstrate humanity's ingenuity. It incorporated hybrid technology from alien relics, engines that could handle extreme conditions, and weapon systems that could adapt mid-battle. It was a symbol, a warning, and a beacon of hope, all in one. Ilara personally oversaw its construction, ensuring that the ship would be more than a tool. It would embody the human spirit. Daring, creative, and unstoppable. Humans' greatest achievement, however, was not technology alone. Their society had evolved in exile into something unique, something alien civilizations could not replicate. Leadership was earned, not inherited. Intelligence and courage were valued above status or tradition. Communities functioned through collaboration, debate, and innovation. Conflicts were solved not through domination but through creativity and strategy. The exile world had forced humans to rethink how a society could survive and thrive under pressure, and the lessons learned were now being applied to every new venture. Ilara herself continued to lead by example. She personally participated in dangerous scouting missions, mapping unexplored regions and testing new starship prototypes. Her presence inspired loyalty and courage. "We are not forgotten," she would tell her crews. "We are not powerless. Every star we reach, every system we explore, is proof that humanity will rise again." By now, humans were beginning to attract attention. Rumors of a species that had survived exile, built advanced technology, and explored forbidden space began to spread. Alien traders and minor factions spoke of human ships moving where none should, of clever tactics that outmaneuvered council patrols, and of technology that seemed to surpass even the most advanced designs of the Galactic Council. Humans were still careful, avoiding direct conflict with the Council's main forces, but their growing reputation inspired both fear and curiosity. Internally, humans continued to improve themselves. Education systems emphasized not only knowledge, but also creativity, problem-solving, and resilience. Children were trained to adapt to any environment, think strategically, and work as a team. Adults continued to innovate, sharing their discoveries with others to strengthen the entire species. The society that emerged was far stronger than anything the Council had anticipated. It was a society not born of privilege, but of survival and determination. One of the pivotal moments came when humans discovered an abandoned research station orbiting a dying star. The station contained archives of star maps, energy formulas, and propulsion schematics far beyond human knowledge at the time of their exile. Deciphering these archives required patience, intelligence, and cooperation. Scientists and engineers worked in shifts, combining their skills until the secrets of the station were unlocked. The result was a breakthrough in faster-than-light travel, allowing human ships to cover distances that had previously been impossible. This achievement marked a turning point. Humanity was no longer confined to their exile world. They had the ability to explore the galaxy with purpose. Scouts and explorers began charting distant systems, identifying habitable planets, and uncovering resources that would fuel further growth. Every discovery strengthened human confidence. Every success fueled their determination to reclaim a place in the galaxy. Yet, humans never forgot their lessons in humility. The Council had banished them, not without reason. They were powerful, yes, but vulnerable. Humanity moved with caution and intelligence. They avoided unnecessary conflict, studied every encounter carefully, and always learned from their mistakes. Their reputation as reckless aggressors had been transformed into one of calculated audacity. Humans took risks, but every risk was measured and purposeful. By the end of this period, humanity had grown into something extraordinary. They were no longer the species the Council had condemned. They were innovators, explorers, and strategists. They were united by shared experience, strengthened by adversity, and driven by an unshakable desire to reclaim their place among the stars. And above all, they were ready. Ilara stood once again on the cliff above Haven, looking out at the small fleet of ships preparing for their first long-range expedition. The winds of the exile world howled around her, a reminder of the challenges that had forged humanity. But where once these storms had symbolized oppression and fear, now they symbolized strength and resilience. Every gust of wind, every crack of lightning, every challenge they had faced had honed them into a species capable of achieving greatness. Her eyes rested on the Resolute, gleaming under the dim light of the twin moons. It was more than a ship. It was humanity's promise to itself and the galaxy. They would rise. They would explore. They would reclaim what was lost. And when the time came, the Council and all other alien civilizations would see that humans were no longer a species to be underestimated or ignored. As the first human scouts lifted off from the surface, disappearing into the blackness of space, Ilara allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Humanity was no longer exiled in spirit. They had discovered their true strength, mastered knowledge once thought beyond their reach, and transformed adversity into opportunity. The journey ahead would be long and dangerous, but humans were ready. They had emerged from exile, not broken, but sharpened, resilient, innovative, and united. And the galaxy would soon learn a truth that had been hidden for far too long. Humans were not just survivors. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species capable of rising from the edge of oblivion to command the stars. The first human fleet had left the exile world with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Ships of all sizes, from nimble scout vessels to the flagship Resolute, moved in perfect formation, guided by human pilots, trained for years in the art of adaptation and strategy. For decades, humanity had lived under the harsh conditions of exile. But now, they ventured boldly into the galaxy, not as fugitives, but as explorers, reclaiming their destiny. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead. The blackness of space was filled with possibilities, unknown worlds, and unseen dangers. Yet, she felt no fear, only determination. Every ship in the fleet represented countless hours of ingenuity, sacrifice, and learning. Humanity had transformed exile into a proving ground, and now the galaxy would witness their strength. Their first mission was to survey a cluster of unclaimed star systems near the outer edge of the Galactic Council's borders. These systems were rich in resources, with planets that could support life and asteroids abundant in minerals essential for technology. Scouts moved ahead, mapping gravitational fields, atmospheric conditions, and potential threats. The humans were careful but confident, knowing that their creativity and adaptability gave them an edge over any rigid alien force. Even as the fleet progressed, news of their emergence began to ripple through nearby civilizations. Small, independent alien colonies had long suffered under the watchful eyes of the Council. Stories of human ingenuity, speed, and tactical brilliance spread quickly. Some species greeted the humans with curiosity, others with cautious optimism. Diplomats aboard human ships reached out to these civilizations, offering knowledge, protection, and partnership. Where once humans had been seen as reckless and dangerous, now they were viewed as problem solvers and allies. The first real test of human strength came sooner than expected. A patrol fleet from a minor Council faction intercepted the human fleet near a dense asteroid belt. The Council had heard rumors of humanity's rise and sought to investigate and, if necessary, contain them. The alien vessels were larger, more numerous, and heavily armed. Many species relied on brute force, believing size and weaponry would guarantee victory. They had not anticipated human ingenuity. Ilara's voice carried over the Resolute's command systems. Remember everything we've learned. Adapt, improvise, and use your environment. We do not fight like the Council. We fight like humans. The asteroid belt became a battlefield. but not in the traditional sense. Humans used the terrain to their advantage, weaving their ships between massive rocks, drawing the enemy into narrow channels, and exploiting blind spots in their formation. Scout ships moved quickly, transmitting real-time information to the larger vessels. Engineers aboard each ship adjusted power distribution, optimizing shields and weapons on the fly. The Council's patrol fleet was unprepared for such tactics. Their larger ships struggled to navigate the asteroid fields without colliding. Missiles that would have destroyed human ships in open space were deflected or neutralized by rapid maneuvers. Humans attacked strategically, disabling engines and communication arrays without engaging in direct conflict. By the end of the encounter, the Council fleet had retreated, leaving the humans victorious without a single catastrophic loss. Word of this battle spread quickly, further solidifying humanity's reputation. Humans were no longer just survivors, they were masters of strategy, combining intelligence, courage, and ingenuity to overcome challenges that would have destroyed less adaptable species. Ilara allowed herself a brief moment of pride, knowing that this victory was only the beginning. Humanity's rise would not be achieved through mere force. It would be achieved through skill, creativity, and unity. Following the victory, humans focused on exploration and diplomacy. They visited newly discovered planets, establishing research stations and small colonies. Engineers designed habitats that could withstand environmental extremes, while scientists studied local ecosystems, ensuring minimal disruption. Trade and alliances grew as alien species recognized the value of human partnership. Humans offered technology, protection, and knowledge in exchange for resources and cooperation. It was a stark contrast to the Council's rigid dominance. Humans were building influence through merit and respect, rather than fear. Ilara also turned her attention to training the next generation. Young humans were enrolled in the Command Academy, where they learned not only navigation, combat, and engineering, but also diplomacy, ethics, and creativity. The lessons of exile were embedded in their education. Adaptability, courage, and cooperation were the foundation of human strength. Students practiced tactical simulations, sometimes facing scenarios that seemed impossible. Yet, time and again, human intuition and innovation found solutions where rigid protocols failed. Meanwhile, scientists continued to make breakthroughs. Ancient ruins, abandoned laboratories, and scattered artifacts offered knowledge far beyond human understanding before exile. Engineers integrated these discoveries into new starship designs, energy systems, and AI protocols. Each innovation made humanity faster, stronger, and smarter. AI aboard human ships did not replace human decision-making but enhanced it, analyzing possibilities and presenting options while humans chose the path of creativity and courage. The growing fleet soon faced another challenge. A hostile alien species, long kept in check by the Council, detected the human expansion and attempted to block their access to a critical system. Their fleet was fast, aggressive, and heavily armed. Many species would have retreated, but humans were prepared. They studied the enemy's tactics, anticipated their moves, and adapted their strategy. Ships moved in synchronized patterns, using decoys and feints to confuse the enemy. Missiles and energy blasts were redirected, neutralized, or used against the attackers. The battle was fierce, lasting hours, but humans emerged victorious once again. Their casualties were minimal, but the impact was enormous. The victory demonstrated that humanity was no longer the species that could be dismissed or ignored. News of the battle reached distant systems, inspiring both fear and admiration. Humans had shown the galaxy that they were capable of strategy, courage, and decisive action, even against superior forces. Back on the exile world, communities celebrated the victories but did not grow complacent. Every battle, every discovery, and every alliance reinforced the lessons of exile. Humans knew that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. Success required constant vigilance, creativity, and collaboration. Engineers continued improving ships, scientists refined energy systems, and strategists developed new tactics. Humans were learning faster than any alien species, turning every challenge into an opportunity for growth. One of the most remarkable aspects of humanity's rise was their ability to unify diverse talents. Unlike alien empires bound by hierarchy, humans recognized the value of every individual. A young engineer's design could save an entire fleet. A pilot's intuition could prevent disaster. A diplomat's negotiation could secure an alliance. Merit, creativity, and courage became the currency of human society. And this culture of excellence propelled humanity forward faster than anyone could anticipate. Ilara often reflected on the irony of exile. The Council had banished humanity, expecting them to weaken, fragment, and fade into obscurity. Instead, exile had forged a species stronger, smarter, and more capable than ever before. Humans had learned to survive extreme conditions, adapt to unknown threats, and innovate under pressure. They had become masters of strategy, creativity, and resilience. The punishment of exile had inadvertently created the greatest human achievement, a civilization that could stand against any force in the galaxy. As the human fleet expanded, minor alien civilizations began requesting aid, guidance, and cooperation. Humans shared knowledge, provided protection, and helped rebuild worlds damaged by conflict or neglect. Where once humans had been scorned and ignored, now they were respected and sought after. The Council could no longer dismiss them as reckless. The humans' influence was growing steadily, and with each new alliance, the foundations of a new galactic order were laid. Ilara knew the greatest challenges were still ahead. The Council itself would eventually notice humanity's rise and attempt to assert control. But humans were no longer the species that could be easily subdued. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger through every trial. Their fleet was formidable. Their technology advanced, and their society unified. Most importantly, humans were guided by creativity, courage, and a vision of leadership that valued merit over tradition. The Resolute became a symbol of this vision. Its presence in any system inspired hope among allies and caution among rivals. It was not merely a ship, but a statement. Humanity had returned, not as a remnant of exile, but as a force capable of shaping the galaxy. Its crew represented the best of human potential: pilots, engineers, scientists, and diplomats working together seamlessly, each contributing to the collective strength of the species. As the fleet prepared for a mission to a strategically important cluster of systems, Ilara addressed her crew. Her voice carried with calm authority and unwavering confidence. "We have shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. But this is only the beginning. Every challenge we face, every obstacle we overcome, strengthens us. Remember that our strength lies not in the ships we fly, but in the minds and hearts of the people aboard them. We are human, and that is enough to change the course of the galaxy." The crew responded with determination. They had trained for this moment, learned from exile, and adapted beyond what the Council could imagine. They knew that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but they also knew that humanity was not easily defeated. Every system explored, every alliance forged, and every enemy outmaneuvered added to their power. The seeds of humanity's emergence were growing rapidly, and nothing could stop them now. As the human fleet moved into the darkness of space, the stars themselves seemed to witness the rise of a species once banished and forgotten. Exile had ended, and the era of human ingenuity, courage, and leadership had begun. The galaxy was watching, and soon, every civilization would understand that humans were no longer a species to be dismissed. They were masters of strategy, pioneers of innovation, and a force destined to command the stars. Humanity's rise continued at a pace that astonished even the most powerful civilizations of the galaxy. The fleet that had once been a small collection of reclaimed vessels had grown into a formidable armada, capable of exploration, defense, and projection of influence. Humans were no longer merely survivors of exile; they were leaders, innovators, and pioneers, shaping the galaxy in ways the Council had never anticipated. Captain Ilara Voss watched from the bridge of the Resolute as the human fleet entered a newly discovered system. The planets here were rich with resources, and the local populations, long neglected by distant empires, welcomed humanity's arrival. Scientists immediately began to study the ecosystems, engineers assessed materials for construction, and diplomats opened channels for communication. Every human action was deliberate, measured, and aimed at building respect rather than fear. The galaxy had begun to take notice. Minor alien civilizations, previously isolated or oppressed by the Council, now sought alliances with humans. Where humans went, prosperity followed. Trade networks expanded, knowledge was shared freely, and communities that had once struggled under harsh rule found hope in cooperation. Humans had learned that leadership was not imposed through fear or domination, but earned through ingenuity, integrity, and courage. However, not all species welcomed humanity's emergence. The Council itself, long confident in its authority, grew uneasy as reports reached its halls. Humans were no longer hidden on a remote planet. They were building fleets, establishing alliances, and outmaneuvering Council forces in ways that could not be ignored. Rumors of human tactics, rapid innovation, and coordinated diplomacy spread like wildfire, creating both admiration and alarm across the galaxy. Alara convened a council of human leaders aboard the Resolute. Engineers, diplomats, strategists, and pilots gathered in the ship's command hall, a space designed for collaboration and discussion. Alara addressed them with calm authority. We have proven that humanity can survive, that we can adapt, and that we can lead. Now, we must ensure that every action we take strengthens our position, protects our allies, and demonstrates our vision for the galaxy. Our rise is not for revenge. It is for progress, for cooperation, and for the future of our species. The first significant challenge came when a Council fleet attempted to reclaim control over a resource-rich system that humanity had discovered. The Council expected compliance. They believed that the humans, once exiled and weakened, would retreat in the face of superior firepower. They were wrong. Ilara's fleet moved with precision, using tactics developed over decades of adaptation and innovation. Human ships navigated asteroid belts, solar flares, and gravitational anomalies with unmatched skill. Scouts relayed real-time data, allowing capital ships to anticipate enemy movements and adjust shields and weaponry instantly. What seemed like reckless maneuvers to the Council's rigid commanders were actually highly calculated strategies, blending human intuition with advanced AI support. The battle was intense, but humanity's combination of creativity, coordination, and courage proved decisive. Ships moved in patterns that the Council could not predict. Missiles were diverted, weapons neutralized, and enemy formations dismantled without unnecessary loss of human life. By the end of the conflict, the Council fleet was forced to retreat, leaving the humans in control of the system. The victory was not only tactical but symbolic. Humanity had reclaimed its place in the galaxy, demonstrating that it would no longer be dismissed or underestimated. As news of the victory spread, more civilizations sought to ally with humanity. Humans offered knowledge, protection, and partnership, creating a network of influence that extended across multiple star systems. Unlike the Council, which relied on hierarchy and coercion, humans inspired loyalty through competence, fairness, and innovation. The galaxy began to see a new model of leadership, one that combined strength with wisdom, courage with collaboration. Humanity's technological advancements continued alongside their political expansion. Engineers developed faster, more efficient propulsion systems, advanced energy shields, and adaptive weapons. Scientists explored alien worlds, discovering new resources and materials that further enhanced human capabilities. AI systems, once feared by other species, worked seamlessly alongside humans, analyzing data and providing solutions, while humans made the creative and strategic decisions that no machine could replicate. The human society itself had become a model of excellence. Leadership was based on merit, not birthright. Intelligence, courage, and creativity were valued above status or tradition. Communities worked together, solving problems collectively, sharing knowledge, and building infrastructure that reflected human ingenuity. This society, forged in the crucible of exile, was resilient, flexible, and capable of thriving under conditions that would have crushed other civilizations. One of the pivotal moments in humanity's emergence came when Alara led an unprecedented diplomatic mission to the Council itself. She and her team traveled to the Council's central system, not as supplicants, but as representatives of a species that had risen from exile to command respect. The Council was surprised to see humans not weakened or desperate, but organized, confident, and equipped with knowledge and technology that rivaled their own. Alara addressed the Council with measured authority. Humanity was exiled and forgotten. You believed we were weak. Yet, we have survived, adapted, and grown stronger. We do not seek vengeance, but we demand recognition. We have proven that we can lead, innovate, and cooperate. The galaxy will thrive when humanity is allowed to participate fully, not as a threat, but as a partner, as a leader, as a force for progress. The Council, faced with undeniable evidence of human capability, was forced to reconsider its position. Human influence had grown too large to ignore. Systems once controlled by minor factions now turned to humanity for guidance and protection. Trade networks, technological collaboration, and strategic alliances expanded rapidly. Humans had not only survived exile, but had become an indispensable presence in galactic affairs. Back on the exile world, now transformed into a hub of industry, research, and culture, humans celebrated their achievements. Children trained in state-of-the-art facilities dreamed not just of surviving, but of exploring, discovering, and leading. Scientists and engineers continued to innovate, pushing the boundaries of knowledge and technology. Diplomats and strategists worked to expand alliances, ensuring that humanity's influence would be enduring and positive. Alara watched all of this with quiet satisfaction. The species she had fought for, inspired, and led through decades of hardship, was no longer hidden or powerless. Humanity had taken exile and transformed it into strength. They had turned scarcity into ingenuity, adversity into resilience, and isolation into unity. The lessons of the past had forged a civilization capable of shaping the future of the galaxy. The human fleet now patrolled key systems, protecting allies, supporting exploration, and maintaining a presence that ensured stability. Humans were respected, admired, and, in some cases, feared not for cruelty, but for competence, creativity, and courage. The galaxy had learned a truth that could not be denied. Humanity was not a species to be underestimated or ignored. In the final stages of her leadership, Alara reflected on the journey from exile to dominance. She thought of the storms that had battered the exile world, the predators that had threatened their survival, and the countless sacrifices made by those who had lived and died to ensure humanity's future. Every hardship had forged a stronger species. Every failure had become a lesson, and every victory had demonstrated the power of human determination. Humanity's influence now stretched across the galaxy. Alien civilizations, once dismissive or hostile, sought collaboration and partnership. The Council had been humbled, recognizing that leadership required more than authority. It required vision, intelligence, and adaptability. And humans, forged in the fires of exile, had all of these qualities in abundance. Ilara's final act was symbolic but powerful. She ordered the fleet to display the human standard, a symbol of resilience, unity, and ingenuity across key systems. Planets lit up with the colors of human design, a reminder to all species that humanity had returned, not as a suppressed remnant, but as a commanding presence in the galaxy. The exile world, once a place of despair and hardship, had become a center of learning, innovation, and leadership. Humans had transformed scarcity into abundance, danger into opportunity, and exile into triumph. They had proven that no punishment, no matter how severe, could suppress a species with courage, creativity, and unity. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Alara looked out from the bridge of the Resolute one last time. Humanity had risen from the edge of the galaxy to command respect, forge alliances, and shape the future of countless worlds. They had emerged from exile not broken, but stronger than ever, proof that human ingenuity, resilience, and determination could overcome even the harshest adversity. And as the fleet moved forward into uncharted space, humanity continued its journey not merely as survivors, but as pioneers, leaders, and guardians of the galaxy. They had been banished, forgotten, and underestimated. Now, they were remembered, revered, and unstoppable. The story of humanity's exile had ended, but the story of their rise, their influence, and their leadership was only beginning. The galaxy would never forget humanity again.